Greetings, YouTube. Happy Friday, everybody. I still sound terrible, but it is what it is. So, Arduin, the 1980 rules that were put out, what we've been going over. And we are now up to combat information, because we did levels and money before. So, let's take a look. Combat consists of two parts, movement and combat. First comes movement, each character moving all or part of his allowed movement distance. Then comes actual combat. Both parts are carried out in the order of the fastest. Dexterity for combat or agility for movement to the slowest. So that makes sense, people? So, dexterity, jumping around, dodging those swords, getting the sword in there. And agility, being able to run and not fall down, like in the horror films. The blonde-haired girl always falls down and dies, right? No matter how far ahead of the dude with the knife is. Okay. For example, if there are two orcs with dexterity and agility of 14 each facing an elf with dexterity and agility of 16 each, every turn the elf would attack first, then the orcs. It's broken into two parts for ease of gameplay and no other reason. There is an advanced optional rule at the end of the book for those who want to be more realistic combat. So we're getting like the basics here. Another factor to remember is that of reach. Now, this is something different about Arduin. This is where they brought in more of the wargaming aspect. This is when a weapon has length to reach, advantage over its opponent. Reach is a real thing, people. It really is. I'm a small little person. I can tell you this from experience dealing with taller people with longer legs and longer arms. It is very hard to get into them and not get hit. It's just very difficult. For instance, a two-handed sword versus a broadsword. The weapon will reach. With the reach, always attacks first if the opposing dexterities are the same. If the longer weapon has a dexterity slower by 1 to 4 points, then the attacks are simultaneous. If the disparity is greater than that, then the longer weapon attacks last. So what they've done is they've given you a game mechanic that allows you to, someone's got a pole with, a little sharp pointy on the end. That's reach. And if that person is fast, they're definitely getting there. But maybe if they're not as fast, but maybe that reach makes a difference. So this gives you a mechanic to affect the combat. A plus, a 0, and a negative. Okay. A faster dex always may elect to parry, deflect his opponent's weapon regardless of reach differential. To do this, the faster weapon must attack a DB of 2 plus 1 plus any adds, and if successful, the opponent's weapon is considered deflected and then they'll be able to attack that turn. Excuse me. If a longer weapon is paired in this manner, the person doing so is considered to have gotten inside its effective fighting reach. If the person with the longer weapon does not move back or shorten up with half weapons on his grip during the next movement, it will be impossible to use his weapon properly on the following melee round, thus adding 4 to his opponent's AF, attack factor. So, they are trying to create a more realistic combat right here. make it more exciting. And being able to parry and say you're parrying, that's a very defensive thing, and I think people forget you can do that in combat. Like, you might not always want to try to hit the other person for some reason. There can be reasons. Okay. Melee movement. To determine how far a character or monster can move in one melee round, add their dexterity and agility, then multiply the number by 5. Thus, if a character has a dexterity of 14 and agility of 12, 14 plus 12 equals 26, and you multiply by 5, that equals 130. You get 130 feet per melee round. Simple. But remember to subtract penalties for armor worn before adding your dexterity and agility together and multiplying. Flying creatures multiply their number by 10, and legless creatures like snakes by only 3. Fish and other water creatures use a multiplier of 7. So, that is how you figure out, for those of you who ever wanted to know, how fast the critters can go. You don't need the monster manual, you just need some stats and the rules here, and you can make your own monsters and know exactly how fast they can move at maximum speed. Ordinary movement. For characters exploring a dungeon or just walking along, consider the melee speed your character has and simply slow it down by a factor of 10. Confused? Don't be. 10 times 6 seconds is only a 60-second minute. Yep, that's right. At a walk, your character will move his combat distance each minute instead of every 6 seconds. This might seem slow, but remember, he is moving with care, caution, to avoid traps and ambushes. So again, the differences. Arduin uses 6-second melees. In 6 seconds, that's how, if the creature can go 130 feet, in 6 seconds, it can go 130 feet. If it wants to. But if it was just, moseying along, it would be going much slower. And they've given you the mechanic to figure it out. So basically, if you have your stats, you can figure out all of this. You don't need to guess. They've given you the mechanics, the internal game mechanics, which is cool. Okay, movement penalties. Weight and encumbrance have a definite effect on how far or fast a character may move each melee round. The greater the encumbrance, the greater the penalty. To determine just what penalties your character has incurred, follow this simple guideline. For each class of armor class a person has, or for each 10 pounds of weight carried, subtract 5 feet from the maximum traveling distance allowed for him. For example, a character with the armor class of 8 is minus 5, negative 5 per turn, and 1 at AC 5 would be minus 20 feet per turn. There is no penalty at AC 9 or for natural ACs, because that's their natural state. And we got a nice little chart here. It is a nice book, guys. It is. Excuse me again. And then we get a weather chart and how it affects stuff. There you go. The wilderness, the weather. And then we move on to combat. Okay. Understanding all the combat factors involved in a battle is neither the proper thing for a beginning player to try to do, nor the easiest. So they simplified things. All combat functions are based on a 6-second segment. Remember, there are bonuses and penalties that occur if a character based upon their dexterity and strength. These factors are applied to the basic attack factor. That's the AF. The basic defense factor, that's uses the initials DF of a character. The DF is a numerical rating for the natural AC or worn armor a character has. The AF is a numerical rating of the kind of weapon or attack used. Simple, therefore, each dexterity and agility point less than 7, a character has subtract 1 point from his DF. And by the same token, for each dexterity and agility point he has more than 12, add 1 point to the DF. Excuse me. All right. We're going to have to probably make a character, huh? And like, I don't know, have it fight something. So we can see how this all works out. For the AF, add 1 point to it for each strength point the character has over 15, and subtract 1 point for each strength point less than 7. Finally, add 1 point of damage to the struck target for each strength point over 15 a character has. Thus, those who are faster and stronger are shown to have better defense, attack, and more damage power. To determine the DF of a character, consult the armor class equivalency chart. To determine the AF of the character, simply check the weapons factor chart. In both cases, don't forget to add or subtract according to your dexterity, agility, and strength. There, you have the entire simple and easy to use rules of AF and DF. The more complex and realistic rules, read the Arduin Grimoire, Welcome to Skull Tower, and the Rooms of Doom, which comprise this Arduin trilogy. So that's the stuff in the front here. It's all this. In addition, you can reference Arduin 2, book, Complete Arduin, and the Arduin Eternal Game. Going to have trouble finding the Eternal Game, I think. I think they're sold out at this point of that. Arduin 2 book, you may be able to get a PDF of that. I'll have to look. I might have a PDF of that. To determine if an attack is successful, all you have to do is to cross-index your weapon type against the DF of your opponent. This will give you a base number. You must roll on a D20 to hit. Remember, if your base number is, say, 12, you must roll 12 or more on a D20 to hit. Don't forget to give yourself any attack factor bonus you may have for your strength or penalty either. The GM will factor in all the bonuses and penalties for non-player characters or monsters in a melee, telling the players the adjudicated AFs and DFs as needed to play. So, in modern language, that's your to-hit number. That is your the minimum number you need. Makes sense? I mean, they're doing it in 5e. Got that little 20-sided dice, you roll it. But this gives you the mechanic for figuring out what that number is. Basically, you have all the tools to do it yourself. Which actually, even though your head might be going, oh, math, don't freak out. Adjust your thinking. When you look at older materials like this, they wanted you to understand the mechanics. They didn't want it to be a mystery that somebody in some building sets the numbers for, and you don't understand how it works. And hopefully they play tested that stuff. Maybe they didn't. Okay? They're actually giving you how the game functions. Then you can create things. Then you can look at something and go, well, that's kind of like a pole arm. It's about the same size, so it probably has about the same reach. So, and you can figure this stuff out on your own. You don't need to buy endless supplements. I have a lot of 4E books I got for free. I have a lot of 5E books. Some of those were free. And in some cases, it was the only way to get certain information I needed. Because somebody is sitting in an office and they don't want you to know the secret code of how the game works anymore. You can figure it out. You can do it to a certain point. But most people, their heads explode, and what do I do? What do I do? Right? This older stuff, they tell you how to do it. They want you to go create things. Okay? So don't look at it as, when they start talking about numbers and formulas, as a hindrance. They're giving you the secret computer code that you never knew what it was. And now with this code, you can create. Okay? Critical hits and fumbles. Yes, they had them. They had them back in the older material too. During combat, sometimes blows either go astray or find their mark exceptionally well. This is reflected by fumbles and critical hits. During combat, if a 19 or less is required to hit a specific AF, and a 20 is rolled, that is critical. All damage and effects done are listed in this chart according to critical hit number, which shows exactly what the blow did. Conversely, on any attack roll where 2 or more is required to hit a specific AS, and a 1 is rolled, that is a fumble. There is a chart provided for the happenstance as well. I think there's a typo in there. It should be 19 or more, because they go up, not down. So, attack bonuses and defense penalties. Any person who attacks a target from the rear gets a +3 bonus to their AF. From the side, the bonus is +2. If you are a position higher than your opponents, you get a +1. This is the way it works in the real world, people. You don't know there's somebody behind you about to stab you. They have the bonus. They have surprise, and they have a better chance of being more successful. Same from the side. I have been stabbed in the side. I had no time to block. The person was right next to me. It was unpleasant. All right? No time to dodge, no time to do anything. So, it is true. Where you are. It makes a difference. Conversely, on any attack roll where a 2 or more is required to hit a specific AF, and a 1 is rolled, that hit is a fumble. There's a chart provided. Oh, wait, I read that already. Where did I go? Okay. Targets in flight get a bonus of 4 added to their defense factor. And those behind cover, i.e. shooting from behind a tree or such, get a +2 bonus. All attacks made from the rear on a down opponent or on a down opponent allow the attacker to ignore the target's agility, dexterity, and shield bonus to his DF. DF would equal AC minus any shield. Yeah, you get a shield bonus. There's pictures in here. in the older books and show how to work those shields better. All the cool things you can do with the shields. So there is a lot more to this chapter. So we'll just keep working on it. But when you get into these older games where they seem more crunchy and they're giving you a lot of math, do not fear the math. Try playing them the way they're written, like rules is written. See what it's like. You know, you can sit there and make a character and get a monster out, or make two of the same, clone A and clone B, and then, give them different weapons and stuff, and see how it plays out, so you have an idea of what the combat system is like. You can always simplify. You can always make something more complicated too. I've been playing D&D a long time, throughout my life, off and on, and when Dragon was published, I would read Dragons. I had some of the earlier ones. I'm replacing them. There were some things destroyed. But that allowed me to see that people were creating rules, and everybody had different ideas. And they would write in, and they would go, no, I think your default damage should work like this. And they would explain why. And it would be in Dragon. You could use it if you wanted to, or be like, nah, I like what's in the book I got already, right? But you could see the evolution of a game. You could actually see it gradually evolve. Arduin comes out of originally as a supplement for D&D and then developed its own game mechanics. It became different because philosophical differences between Gary and David. But you can always borrow stuff, and everybody always did. So the point being is, don't fear the math. Never fear the math in older game books. They were trying to show you what they were thinking and how they would create monsters and all that stuff. Where the checks and balances were in the system to make new people who could create new and exciting things. It's a very different world now, seems like. So we will continue with Armor Class next episode. Wish the cold would go away. Cough thing, whatever. The grunt. Anyway, everyone have a great day. This is a long video, I know, so I'm just going to upload it and give all my coughs. I'm sorry about that. Like, subscribe, comment. Have a beautiful day and a great weekend. See you guys around. Bye.